Hello, and welcome to our video focused on the second writing project for our course, which is the academic article proposal. Before listening to this video, please be sure to read the project handout and rubric available on our course site, as I'll highlight the most important details within the video, while the handout and rubric give you a full overview of expectations for the project. I want to begin by talking about the purpose of this project. So previously, in your annotated bibliography, you had the chance to compile research on an issue you plan to explore in your academic article. Now, the proposal is really your chance to take a stance on the issue and use the research you've gathered to make the moves we've been talking about with academic argumentation. Please note, you are required to continue to discuss the same topic you explored in your annotated bibliography. If you're considering changing topics, you must clear a new topic with me, so please email me directly to do so. Returning to the focus of this project, in the proposal, you'll present ideas for how you plan to make an argument in your academic article, as you take a clear stance on your issue and discuss supporting and opposing views that you plan to acknowledge. The academic article proposal is your chance to pitch your vision for the academic article. So because of that, the other thing I'll emphasize in this video is the more time and effort you put into this current project, the proposal, the easier it is going to be to compose your academic article as the final project, because you'll be able to pull a lot of the information you discuss in this proposal directly into your academic article. So I encourage you to think carefully and critically about the ideas you plan to share in your proposal. Now to talk about some of the specific requirements for the project. If we scroll down to the directions portion, you'll see I'm asking you to clearly emphasize your stance on an issue while discussing the approach you'll take to support your argument. To do so, you'll need to synthesize information from the research you've gathered to ultimately demonstrate that you've examined various perspectives on your topic, and more so to identify the specific claims and evidence you'll use to make a robust argument in your article. To do this, I'm asking you to compose a proposal that addresses the following points in the rationale portion of the handout. The entire project should be 1,200 words, in which a majority of the discussion will focus on the rationale that addresses the three sections outlined right here. Really, these three sections, the issue, the they say, and the I say, mirror the moves we've discussed with the academic article, and especially academic argumentation this semester. Thus, they parallel the structure you'll use to compose your academic article. To begin, you'll discuss the issue in the first portion of the rationale, which is very similar to what an introduction in the initial part of your academic article will look like. In this section, you'll identify and describe the topic you're planning to discuss in your academic article. To do so, you may need to share relevant background information or explain technical or field-specific terms to really familiarize your audience with the issue. More so, I want you to explain why this is worth considering, especially thinking about how this conversation has potential to propel ideas forward in a field. Why is this an important topic to discuss now? How are you sharing new insight or discussing a unique angle of a topic that needs to be further explored? So you truly are contributing to an ongoing conversation. Next, you'll compose the they say section of your rationale, which is your opposing viewpoints. Here I'm asking that you not only identify opposing viewpoints, but that you are very specific. Who holds these opposing viewpoints? Does a specific individual, an organization? Did you find these ideas discussed in a specific source? I need you to identify where the information is coming from. Then thoroughly identify and discuss the claims they make and what evidence they use to support their claims. Remember, even though you're taking a stance that differs from the claims in the they say section, it's imperative that you find credible research to acknowledge opposing claims. In other words, it's important that you are able to contend with the opposing viewpoints that are logical and well supported by credible evidence. You will need to avoid opposing claims that are unsupported or unreliable. Finally, I want you to end by discussing how you plan to contend with these views. Will you disagree entirely with them? Will you acknowledge some portion of the viewpoint but contest with other parts of their argument? How do you plan to respectfully enter into conversation with the opposing views? That's a great way to transition to the final portion of the rationale, which is the I say section. In the I Say section, you'll clearly identify your position while justifying and defending that stance. So, what stance are you taking within your thesis statement? What support and evidence do you have that you will use in depth to fully defend that position? In this portion, I want you to identify specific sources here, specific arguments that you'll draw from, and again, tie it to your thesis statement. How are these ideas and sources going to fully support the claim you're making? I'm also asking that you list your thesis statement. To do so, you may simply list the thesis immediately above your rationale. Please be sure to identify it by writing thesis statement, and then compose your 1 to 2 sentence thesis to really focus the project. Then you'll discuss the issue, they say, and I say sections afterwards. Another important requirement for the rationale is the incorporation of research. As you discuss your topic, and especially your I say and they say sections, research should be skillfully integrated into your writing. To do so, this will require you to not only identify the sources you plan to draw from as you discuss supporting and opposing views, but it will require you to synthesize material from these sources to aid in the conversation. Essentially, you'll need to weave together the various sources you've identified around a specific claim. We'll discuss synthesis within the module much more. You'll also notice that any time research is referenced in your project, you will be expected to properly cite it, both in text and on the works cited page or reference list. After the rationale, I'm asking you to create an outline of how you expect your article to unfold. So you'll identify the main points as well as the support and evidence you'll use. Within the module, there's discussions on creating a robust, clear outline as well as an example. Additionally, here you'll find a discussion about the moves I'm asking you to make in the rationale. I highly suggest you dive into this material and familiarize yourself with how to approach these expectations in the project. And then finally, you'll create a formal works cited page according to MLA standards or a reference list according to APA standards that list at least 4 sources. This requirement exists for a few reasons. 1, it's your second time citing research in the course, so this is your chance to correct any errors you may have had on the first project, while also gaining experience composing a formal works cited page. More so, the source requirement has increased, so you're able to gradually expand your research to prepare for the academic article. These sources should not only be cited properly, but they should be the ones that pass the CRAP test completely. Additionally, you're required to have a balance of academic and non-scholarly research, which means at least 2 scholarly sources that are peer-reviewed. It's completely fine if you list sources you used in your annotated bibliography, but the academic source requirement has now increased to a 2-source minimum. That covers the main requirements for the project. As you begin, please remember I'm always happy to assist you, so just email me directly if you have questions. Otherwise, I look forward to reading your final projects.